Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. We're talking Season 2, Episode 9 of Agents of S.2e9, Ye Who Enter Here. You like that read?
Love it.
I am recocked Rob Southgate, and with me is...
Let's see. Gelatinous Jack Windgrowski.
Yes, you are, and...
Awful a little. I'm so awful and such a hater.
I thought you said I'm off-filled. I'm like...
Off-filled, yes.
Like, what is that?
Well, it goes right with gelatinous.
Yes, it
I was
does.
just about to say that again.
So I was going more with the, gunplay thing with the recocked there. So, but I guess you guys went a different route. So, all right, guys, this is an important episode, and we are one away from the mid-season break. So I don't know about you, but I thought this was going to be an episode. A lot of times these are the kind of transition, not a lot happens, kind of like last episode where it's like you get a few answers, but this one seemed to have a lot of stuff happen to the point that I thought this could have been the mid-season break almost. What did you guys think?
Thought it was. I thought it was the break. I forgot there was another episode.
Really?
Until the after the next week's scenes.
Okay.
I was like, wait a second, because I kept. It felt like that. It felt like
it
they
did have that
there.
cliffhanger thing, right?
Yeah, and it was just like I was waiting for it. I'm like, wait. I'm like, first they didn't answer enough, which I thought they would have answered more.
Right.
But then they let up way too much, and we'll get into it because there's one scene that like I even tweeted about it the other night about like all of a sudden I stopped trusting anybody.
Yeah. Although we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that. Jack, what did you think of this one?
Well, I was really excited about it because all in that fort at San Juan, I spent like every week there on the cruise ship at that fort. When they go through that gate, I actually...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was jogging through there and taking pictures and like
fell
all
into a hole and into a crazy rage and tried to kill somebody. It's all the same.
Yeah, my eyes turned red, and then I was thinking I totally called it that Mac was gonna be the one, and because we were talking about the red shirt guy, the red shirt lieutenant, and so sure enough they sealed up Mac in the tomb, and I was like, man, we called that. It could have been the season finale, and I think we would have totally been happy.
Nope, I'll tell you why. They ignored so much of the Sky and her dad's storyline. They absolutely couldn't end at the midseason break without the two of them meeting. That's why next week, that's what it's about. And that's going to be a big thing. That was the one thing as I was watching it, I'm like, I kept thinking, is this the midseason? Because I couldn't remember. And I kept saying, but they're not resolving that. There's no way they're going to leave that without making a huge cliffhanger out of it. And they didn't.
But don't you think that when Ward came in and take Flowers back because they need Flowers to carry the diviner, and they said, oh, you know what? I'm taking Sky. And that's as good as like shooting her. That's just like, we're taking her and now you're going to have to wait. That would have made me totally wait. Like I would have come back to next season just to find out exactly.
Yeah, what happened to her when he took her? Yeah, I get that. I just kept thinking they've teased too much about the father to not do anything about him in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, I completely understand, and I agree with you. That's where they're gonna go for the finale is totally gonna be Crazy Dad and Sky, and but yet I would have been. I'm just saying for myself, I
Yeah.
would have.
You would have been satisfied.
I would have, yeah, they found the city. They found it, but before before Hydra. Now there's a little wrinkle. Now they've got flowers that can take the diviner there. They've got, it had all the elements that that would have been enough to really set up after the break like a full-on crazy dad kind of scenario. But
Okay.
no, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the finale now because there weren't many elements that they got wrong on this one, I think.
Okay, Alil,
Yeah.
let's talk about that scene because I have definite thoughts. The scene you're talking about, the scene we haven't talked before this, but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about specifically the scene with Mockingbird, right? And Mac
Yes, on the plane, and I'm
on the
like,
plane.
all of a sudden, I'm like, what is going on?
Okay,
Are they Hydra now? What is this? Because that's what I was waiting for. I was like, this is getting bad.
so
I think
Twitter blew up with that too. People are like, "Oh my God, Mockingbird's Hydra!"
no, 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 no.
All right, Jack, what do you think?
I think that goes back to what happened to Lucy Lawless, and there's something. There's
Oh,
some
you're
back.
thinking that this secret thing is about her.
Yes, and that there is, in
Oh,
their past, because that's the great thing about Marvel and what they've done is they'll have a comic come out and in the very first episode, similar to like Sherlock Holmes, where, in the first paragraph, they talk about like the 3 or 4 cases beforehand and of course the history of this. No, we don't, but now you've totally feel like you're set into the past.
right.
So, we've got 2 new characters, but now they're saying, "Oh yeah, we gotta resolve this thing from like last season." But you weren't there last season.
Right. Like they have
Exactly.
their history and you're kind of let into it, but you don't know what's going on yet.
Right. But it's a it's gonna have to surface, and that creates a huge buzz, and exactly what it did.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean,
So
yeah.
you're thinking that's what it is. That's a cool thought. Now, Alil, what about you at this point? Are you thinking that it's Hydra? Are you down with what Jack's saying?
I don't know. I mean, because they flipped it on us. So with bringing out Hydra at the last season,
Yeah.
and because she was in Hydra, and that scene that she had with why am I drawing a blank on his name? The Hydra guy who they captured, who Ward left for him.
Bakshi or
Yeah, Batchy. Yeah,
yeah.
when he started talking about her bad deeds, and then and then she kind of flipped it on him and kind of made him, try to kill himself. And then Hunter brought that up. Like he brought that up. Like, why did you do that? Why were you letting him get to you? So that was like that first little, I don't know, little
Interesting.
nugget I think that I got that there's something else behind here. Is she brainwashed?
Okay. Okay.
Because they brought the brainwashing up early on, and they really haven't brought it back.
Right.
And that's
Well,
something
they
that
did
they
it to
would.
Agent 33, and we keep seeing 33 resurface, and I think that's why they did that brainwashing, so that we would understand why 33 is acting the way she's acting.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to keep. I don't think 33 is such a big character that you need to keep kind of bringing that up. We know she's bad. She's May's doppelganger at this point. What
Yeah.
screwed up. So
Freaky scarred doppelganger.
Hey, didn't she look like Oscar Goldman from $6 Million Man? You remember when he was a robot
Yeah.
and like his face peeled off above around his eye like that, and then underneath you're like, oh my God, he's a robot. That was totally what I was thinking through the whole episode.
They should have started playing like 70s music behind it. Dun, 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 dun. Chicka, 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 chicka.
Jack, I think you should do that underneath everything we do here.
I do, but we edit it out.
Yeah, we make you turn your mic off. If we left Jack's mic on the whole time, it would sound like the theme to Magnum PI playing in the background the whole time.
The Love Boat.
Oh, don't get us started on that. so, so okay. Here's what I think about that. So, as that scene was playing out, I was having that same reaction, like, what is going on? And then I started thinking. First of all, I watched her very carefully through the episode, and I thought about how she has reacted throughout this season, and it makes no sense to me that she would be a triple agent or brainwashed or anything. I think that that was a red herring to get everyone buzzing and for you to think that there's something more, like, what is this? When in fact it's something like I could see it being maybe she's working with a splinter group of shields that's starting Sword or something like that, where she's staying on the same side, but maybe they're building something new. And why bring Hunter into this? Hunter isn't that guy.
But he's got a past, and it's with her, and
But he's also not a shield agent.
that's
So
true.
is that why Mac is like, hey, are you letting him, like, he's working with Shield? Are you letting him into this deeper thing? No, I'm not.
Right. Which was kind of funny because she's the one that kind of brings up this, why can't you trust me thing? And this is another one of those instances. So I think it's setting up the conflict between her and Hunter. It's just a deeper part of the conflict. I don't think it's setting up anything more than that, as it'll be like another element of why their relationship doesn't work.
So do you think that, I mean, Mac just laid it out there, and he's
Yeah.
like, uh-oh, this is the calm before the storm. Do you think this is just where it's headed? Like they're going to have, they had this little reconciliation and they're not going to do much with that. They're just going to crash and burn it fast.
Wow. I mean, that's a good question.
That was some
mean,
dead silence there.
Totally-
That doesn't
it
happen on
totally
here.
caught me off. Yeah.
That doesn't
Well,
happen
I mean,
here.
where do you think they could go with that? I mean, it's there's a lot of possibilities, but is it going to go that deep?
I think they've got too much going to take this that deep.
Yeah, it's like it's a story element that the whole thing, because they spent about a quarter of that episode last week where why can't you trust me? I can't trust you. You take apart people in these interviews, and I just wonder if you're doing it to me. Yes. Well, in fact, we know she is,
Okay.
because we're keeping Hunter out of the loop on something.
On something. But once again, if she's working on a shield thing, she might be looking at it like we've seen, level 7, level 6, whatever. He's not at this level, he's not getting let in.
No.
He's like not even a level. So that might be all it is, because Mac would be working with her on that,
Right.
But
Huh.
Yeah, but I think if it's something about Lucy and that,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. When you said that, that makes sense. Because wouldn't that be a secret operation that only the shield agents might be privy to, certain shield agents at a certain level? And maybe they brought Mac and Mockingbird in on that. Maybe Coulson knows, maybe May knows, but that might be it.
But if that exposed Lucy Lawless, that is really going to piss off Hunter something fierce.
Right. So it's better to keep him in the dark.
Right, exactly. And that's why I thought it was going that direction.
I don't know. I think that makes sense.
And it does, because
And it could make sense because I want Lucy Lawless to come back so badly.
yeah.
We know.
Do you think she's going to reappear in this next episode?
No.
I'm not going to answer that again.
Do you think? You don't think so?
This is the
Bully
Spider-Man
move.
discussion
That was
all
my
over again.
that was my geek bully move right there. There you go. Why don't you do a review on that one? Sorry for
Oh,
our-
you're so awful.
You gotta go for our listeners. You gotta go to our reviews on iTunes to figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Counteract him if you like the show, please. But yeah, okay. I want to shift gears. That was too funny. I think my favorite moment was one that Martha, my wife, pointed out was with Koenig.
Yeah.
When he became the high-tech Mary Poppins. That's what she called it. And I was laughing the rest of the time.
I thought they were gonna fly away.
I
really
did too. When he pulled that umbrella out, my first thought was, I'm like, why are they doing like a penguin reference? And I'm like, oh no. And she goes, it's the high-tech Mary Poppins. And I was like, oh, it's so good. If he had flown with it, it would have been too funny. What they did was great. And I loved that whole thing. How many of them are you? 13. Like, everyone falls for that. Yeah, but we know he's got to be a life bottle decoy, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. These aren't like
So 13? No, how about 3,000? I mean,
I don't know about that because they almost shot Ward. I mean, I think that they're not life model decoys. They might be clones.
They might be clones. Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
that might
I
be
think
it.
that they have feelings for each other, and I think that's the issue because
And
They
and they
you know
do
what I mean, like
actually.
brotherly feelings.
Right, right. Not
right.
not like weird like League of Geeks type feelings.
Right,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah,
We've lots of feelings.
yeah. Lots of feels over there at the league.
And I think they've gone the clone route because they don't want to have to explain the life model decoy thing.
That very well could be.
Well, you know what
c-
though? Tony Stark dropped it in the Avengers. I mean, they don't have to explain it. Explain it. I mean, it's
Yeah, but on this show, by doing the clone thing, it might give them a little more freedom.
yeah, especially because it's works so well.
Or maybe we
And
find out there's both.
are you Ben? Are you Jerry? It's like, well, no, Jerry's the short one.
Oh no, that was so funny. I'm
it's
Sam, Billy's the
hilarious.
shorter one, and then the next scene, I'm Billy, Sam's the shorter one.
yeah.
So funny.
And then
It's-
even Ward got into it. When
Yeah.
he turned around, he's like, "How many of there are you?" I actually liked that line from him. Like I wasn't expecting it because he got in that plane, and I'm like, "Somebody shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him!" And then he said that line. I was like, "All right, Ward."
Yeah.
But that's all I'm giving you. That's
Yeah, it was so great. So great. Pat and Oswald on here, we were all sorry when he got shot up last season. And we're like, oh, they've got to bring it back. This is just great because he's such a great character on there. It's so funny. Okay, I got another one. They have a genius move that they've done this season. I'm throwing it out there right now. The Agent 33 thing, the fact that she's wearing May's face basically means that May is the one doing the fighting, right?
yeah.
right.
She's so great in those action scenes. Her fighting Sky was barely a notch below May fighting May in the other episode. I was like, man, this is fantastic. If they had May come in and all three of them fighting, it would have been the crowning achievement. Maybe that's going to be our season finale. I think the May Sky fight was fantastic.
Oh,
You gotta throw in Mockingbird in that mix too.
Oh,
all four of them
please.
go.
No, have Mockingbird shocking Mac in the neck with her sticks. That was amazing.
that was awesome. Yeah, and really, the thing I took from the fight is how great is it that Sky is up to that level now?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, she, in the end, Mockingbird had to save her. But, as soon as it was over, she shook it off, her lips bleeding, her nose bleeding, and like, all right, it's over, let's go.
Yeah, think about it.
still-
At the end of last season, she was, you're just getting accepted as an agent and you're going to start your training. And I've never done this kind of thing. She is like Mockingbird level right now.
Yeah. On the Blacklist pod that we do, the main heroine,
Shameless plug.
shameless plug. But the heroine in that, Liz, like she's almost gone back to square one because, like she kind of fell apart to where she was like last, they were building her up. Oh no, she's just a a weak emotional chick. It's like, well, wait a minute. We spent this whole season building her up, and that's what I love so much about the Sky thing is they've spent like all this time building her up, and she's almost there. She's like,
Yeah, she's really progressing, and her story has gotten more and more interesting. And I think that the fact that they've left the focus off of it has actually worked to their favor.
yeah, it's just an undercurrent. It's not in your face.
Yeah, but it's made it really important. Like next week's episode is the Sky episode, and I'm ready for it. I am dying to see what happens in this one.
Yeah, I'm like, as much as I'm looking forward to Sky action scenes as much as I'm to May or anybody else now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome.
Which is shocking.
It really is.
I mean, she's put in the work. I have to definitely give her credit for that. And now I'm wondering if her character is going to evolve into something else. Because we talked about it a few weeks ago. With her father getting mad that everybody was calling her Sky. That's not her
Right.
real name, and maybe her real name will evolve into somebody we know.
Wendigo? No, I'm kidding. I've actually seen
Wendigo.
I've seen a lot of people
Wingo, Wingo.
I've seen
And Wingo was her name.
I've seen a bunch. You're the worst. I've seen a bunch. Oh, I was bullying. I've seen a bunch of different ideas about who it could be, and I frankly don't think it's going to be a character we know.
Well,
I think it's they're
probably
gonna.
not.
I think they're just going to create a character. I think that this is, I like how people have dismissed and said it's not Inhumans. It's all, well, this isn't Inhumans then, and it's not Atlanteans. It's totally Inhumans.
Well, it is. Did you see the Marvel release?
No, what release?
Okay, well, hold on. Let
I
me
did see
pull
the
this up
news
here.
today, which we might as well talk about. Finally, officially announced the Cumberbatch is playing Doctor Strange. I saw that.
Yeah, they casted Jessica Jones, and
Oh, they casted Jessica Jones. Who's doing that?
I don't have that up because
Is it Jack?
it is Jack.
Jack, congratulations.
Oh,
No,
hey,
Hey.
what can I say?
no,
Oh,
but Marvel, in Uncanny's Avengers #1, they're doing for next year a big 50th anniversary of the Inhumans. The variant cover, the floor of the variant cover, where you see the Inhumans, what they're standing on,
Yeah.
are symbols that match the symbols that Coulson has been writing for the
Get
last season.
out.
so
So
takes you
people are
right there.
now wondering if this is Marvel throwing it out there that, hey, this is leading to the Inhumans. And did you hear not Mac but
Flowers.
no, BJ Britt, why am I drawing a blank? He dropped a line about Atlantis.
Yeah, I
Said
caught
it's not
that.
Atlantean or something. He's like, it's not like we're going to Atlantis or something
Right.
like that.
Right,
And,
right.
so I think they were
That was when
trying
he was
to,
talking about the Bermuda Triangle, and Coulson goes, we solved that 3 years ago.
yeah, in the 90s or something like
No,
that.
we're not
Right.
going to Atlantis. Yeah. No, it's not that. It's Puerto Rico.
Well, the one thing one of the things I thought was very interesting is when Flowers and Sky, they sent her because she could kind of get that connection, but it was really that where Flowers was working on Sky in the end. And well, tell me about my dad, and they're having this thing about alien. The first thing she dropped was Cree, and I want to say after our 2-hour marathon midnight session, I said it was Cree, and somebody else argued about it. So booyah in your face. It was Cree, 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 Cree. And the second thing
Who
was
argued with you on that? Was it Charlie?
it was Charlie. It's
I was
like,
going to say, I don't think
no,
it was me, and I don't think it was a Lil.
no, and we weren't even sure if he was blue. No, it was the Blue Men, it was
Yeah.
Alien, and it was Cree. So strike 1, 2, and 3, I win. Now number 2.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah. I was as soon as I heard that, I was just like, oh yeah, in your face. Here we
In
go.
your face, Charlie.
And so how many times do you get to say that to Charlie Esser?
Yeah, if you on a Marvel issue with Charlie, I would
I know.
say that might be the one and only.
And
But
he's gonna
see, I
prove you
can-
wrong somehow.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
telling you right now.
Well, yeah,
you think
in
you're
maybe
right, but you're not.
maybe in some like weird parallel universe, but not in this one right now.
Right.
So, but here's the second one: is she asked her right out, "Well, am I an alien?" And she said, "No, you are not.
Right.
You are definitely human, but the Inhuman kind of fits that profile."
Oh, it totally does.
Right.
Yeah, the Inhumans are from Earth. You are human. You're just kind of inhuman, and so I think
Right. There's been a
we're-
little intervention that has made it so that you are advancing.
right.
And that makes perfect sense. The other thing is, and it was funny because we were watching the episode today. I was watching it with Martha and our daughter who's 7 kept saying, I think that Raina and Sky are sisters. And I've seen that one a lot. Very clearly they're not sisters. They told their stories tonight, made it very clear they're not sisters. But I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, oh, that, the dad is dad to both of them, and Sky is this and that. No. But it makes sense if they are from that line.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they come from the same Inhuman cloth, and she's kind of an adopted daughter, so it makes them kind of like soul sisters.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's funny, you see all these things where they start the conjecture, but if you really kind of like say it out loud, it kind of solves itself.
Right. Yeah, I like the reference to Atlantis. I think that there is I think okay, so let's talk about the Atlantis thing for a second. The fact that he said it tells me that Charlie's on the right track. That is part of this universe.
Oh yeah.
That is going to be coming in here at some point.
So we're gonna appease Charlie a little bit after
Yes.
the
But
Kree incident.
that thing in the tube is Kree. No question. They talked about the Kree. The Kree are involved in what they're doing right now, but the Atlantis thing is out there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and I think Guardians of the Galaxy proved that that's a Kree. I mean,
Yeah, I
we
thought so too.
got we got enough of the blue guys in there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the thing is with Atlantis and Namor, I think I just we're not going to see him till like 2020. I mean, this is going to be something that's going to be
Right.
built out far. I mean, they've already got everything established. There's titles and everything being built up. They're going more cosmic in some of this stuff because they got to bring Thanos in there.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't think they would just pull Namor out of nowhere and have him somehow appear in Civil War or one of these movies down the road by
But they
not
could.
by himself. They
But
could.
they could have him in this as a minor player building up to it.
But
It very well could happen. And if nothing else, the lore of Atlantis, the lore of Namor might get more time to discuss and be brought to the surface. And once again, just like we said, bringing the Inhumans in via Agents of Shield, why not do Atlantis the same way?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And
Well, they
don't you
could.
have a better shot with Namor in a show like this than you have like Thanos? If Thanos comes into this universe with Agents of Shield, they're totally outmatched. I mean, there's nothing they could do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even Thor would have a hard time. Whereas you could, you could with Namor, you could do a lot more within the confines of the TV show.
Right. Do you remember that show in the 70s with Patrick Duffy? I think it was called Man from Atlantis.
Yes.
maybe maybe they could bring that back. We should watch that and see if that is somehow tied into this.
All right, for the hiatus, we will also record
Watch Man
an
from
episode
Atlantis.
and podcast about every episode.
Oh,
I gotta see if they got that on like YouTube or something.
I think that's the only place you'd find it. No, we've got Agent Carter during the hiatus, my friend.
No, I know.
Oh, that is
And
gonna
they
be.
keep showing. I mean, I don't know. Like the commercials started bothering me because it's just
Really?
not that. Believe me, I think she's a beautiful woman and everything. It's just like, why are they always like showing her getting dressed? And it's like always just so weirdly like sexist in a way.
Well,
Like, some
you know what? I was thinking that for a while too. Like they kept showing that one with the stocking or whatever, and I'm like, what is this? But if you saw the preview that they showed during this last episode, it had none of that.
I did. No, I agree.
And they actually kind of addressed it, I thought, where the guy made a comment and then she punched the guy, and I thought, like, what's your first name? And she says, Agent. I thought that was really great. So it might have been that marketing was kind of playing that up a little bit to try and get the male viewer, but I think they've already backed off on that. I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, it's that kind of. Well, you have that World War II vibe where things were sexist and a woman was a woman back then, and there were like the army had the Women's Army Corps. They weren't even like considered part of the main army units, and so one of the things that you kind of almost have to deal with. Although, like you said, they deal with it almost immediately when she starts, somebody like takes advantage of the situation. She just like takes them out,
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't like it's gonna be an element. She's in World War II. And she's gonna be a woman in a man's world. Only it's her team.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you saw the short they did, that was definitely something they played up.
Yeah.
But like to Will's point, if they focus on the other, it actually is being sexist now. Like it's not having the impact that the show should have. But I don't think they're going to. I think that was a misstep in that marketing just to try. I think they're trying to send a message, but I think this last preview actually gave you more of a taste. This is going to be action. We're not going to see superheroes, but we're going to see some really cool World War II spy type stuff with a really tough female lead. I think that's great.
Speaking of the Cumberpatch thing, they just showed him on the AOL. That's what I call him.
I know. It just caught me off guard. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Sounds like Cumberpatch.
Jack, I think you could get an ointment for that if you got a Cumberpatch.
Yeah.
So what did they do with him?
They put it on the main news page about he the star as the Marvel superhero.
Didn't we just talk about this? Did
What?
you have a stroke, Jack?
No, I'm just saying it came up on the main. It just came up on the main news thing.
Oh, that it's that important. Of course
Yeah.
it is, because Cumberbatch is playing Doctor Strange. Is there any news bigger?
Yeah, and I've got the name of Jessica Jones.
Kristen
It
Ritter.
is Kristen Ritter,
Yep, I
yes.
stole your thunder.
And Mike Coulter is going to be playing Luke Cage.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one either.
Yeah, again, I guess they're in final discussions, but it looks like it's going to be him.
Yeah. Now, have they done anything more about announcing when these are going to hit? Because I know that Daredevil is going to happen in the spring, right?
Right.
And then Jessica Jones, I would assume, is going to happen. I mean, are they going to do all 4 in 1 year, or are they going to do it 2 a year?
They didn't say. All I keep reading is it's going to be Jessica Jones is the second series coming out after Daredevil. Then it's Luke Cage, and then it's Iron Fist, and then it will be a Defender series.
Yes,
I
can't even talk about that yet. I'm so excited for that.
But they don't say when. They just that's it. Because I'm curious about that too. Would it be? My guess is, I mean, they've already have filmed a lot of Daredevil. Daredevil's
Right.
in the works, and if it's coming out in the spring, my guess is Jessica Jones won't come out until the winter of next year at the earliest.
That's my guess. I couldn't figure out the order, but I'm thinking we're going to see Daredevil in the spring, Jessica Jones maybe. Actually, you could get. Would they do 3? Because now they've added that 5th thing. They've added that Defenders thing. They don't want to have that be isolated 2 years from now. So do you think they might fit 3 in 2015, and then in the spring finish up with Iron Fist, and then maybe fall do the Defenders? I think it kind of depends on how they fit it in. If they try to fit it in the off times when Shield is off, which would make sense.
Yeah, I mean,
how often do they want to have them hit? Do they want to have them hit quarterly? Do they want to have them hit every, biannually?
Or in between movie releases?
Well, that too. Although how much of that does it really matter? If it's a week after the movies come out, that's fine. You've got a lot of hype, and you'd probably score a lot of viewers. You don't want it to be the same week or a week before and lose any thunder. But if it's a week, 2 weeks, even a month after one of their tentpole movies, I think it would be really strong. And I think that if you wait a couple of weeks after Shield takes its summer break, you're going to have people that are like, okay, summer's here, Shield's over, we don't have Agent Carter. Oh, sweet, there's a Daredevil series. And then 2 months later, sweet, we can watch Jessica Jones and then lead into Shield again, because I'm sure they're trying to piece it together that way.
Right. Well, we talked about kind of like there's kind of arc where they're putting all these things together in a sequence, and obviously Shield's taking a break, so boom, Agent Carter's in there. There's you've got the movie. Is it Age of Ultron? Is that when the movie's coming out?
Yeah.
So that's probably gonna be the big thing in summer, and then maybe the late part of summer is when you have some of these Netflix releases.
I guess, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm shocked that we don't know dates yet for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. That's why I think it's further down the road. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I believe me, I want it as soon as possible.
Right.
I can't wait to see Daredevil.
Because we're gonna marathon the heck out of that. Like the week it hits, it's just gonna be boom, watch them all, and then now we gotta wait for the next series.
And we're gonna record all 13 hours at the same time of watching them via Skype. We're just gonna sit there with the mics on.
No, that would be lame. We're gonna have to double up the time. You're gonna have to watch it, and then we'll have to record. And then so now, what is it? 12 hours? So we're talking 24 hours straight to record each series.
There you go.
Alil, Jack, you're taking time off.
Yeah.
Wait, time off of the show or time off of our real job? Like, are you kicking me off again?
No, you're
fired again.
You are 10 minutes away from having to quit your job. Not that you're getting paid, but we need more time on here.
Yeah, I'm gonna feed my kids with iTunes reviews. Oh no, they don't even get to eat.
No, well, and they go, Daddy, these aren't very good. What do you mean, kid? They don't taste good? No, not that.
You're a terrible dad. That's all.
You're a terrible dad, and your toy box smells.
So for our listeners, the more reviews you do, the more Alil's children eat.
And they're tiny.
They are. How you have such tiny kids, I don't know.
I believe me, I don't know. Well, my wife's tiny too, so it helps, I guess.
Somebody, are you their dad? I'm just checking.
I think what you need to do is
Was Billy Barty at your house?
you need to get some gamma radiation involved and bulk these kids up a little.
You know what?
Oh.
If I would, if I could, believe me.
Get those kids to Hulk out. Be awesome.
I don't want to do my homework.
Well, your homework is watching S.H.I.E.L.D., so get in there. All right.
No.
We got to get back to the series here. So I want to talk about the big feels part of the show, which I feel like they did a very nice job of handling Fitz and Simmons.
Oh, I was really glad that they kind of got back to that because it was really getting kind of annoying.
Well, and the way they were playing it with them avoiding and everything, it was like, I don't know, it was dissatisfying. I liked when it first kind of came back and it was like, oh my gosh, they're going to be back together and now they got to try and figure this out. But I don't know, the last couple episodes it didn't quite do what it needed to do. I'm not criticizing it because I think that they did that on purpose. I think they said, let's not focus on it. We've got something to do with it. But in this one, I feel like they really addressed it. When Mac is like, I can't stand the tension anymore, and he was walking out of the room, and then the two of them are forced to deal with each other, I thought that was great.
And then when they finally kind of settle down a little bit, she starts actually finishing his sentences, and it's almost back to normal. It's like, this is cool. And
well, the best part of that was that he had already said, I'm leaving to go to the motor pool with Mac, and you're going to be in charge of the lab. And she didn't stop him. She was confused, but she didn't stop him. But then when they're in that critical situation, she starts finishing his sentences. Like, you saw, they need each other.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, he's still kind of in charge, but
well, he said he's in charge of the lab.
Right.
So he is still in charge, but it didn't seem patronizing or anything. It seemed very much like maybe they'll just make both of them as a single unit in charge, because really together, those two are pretty unstoppable in there.
And they finally kind of said out loud what we already knew, is that they're just good friends, only they can't imagine not ever not being good friends.
Yeah, you know what? I like that too, because that's a classic thing from TV shows where they have the relationship where, unrequited love and, well, they're good friends and will they, won't they? And I was afraid that was what this show was going to do. Now I'm not afraid of it. Now I actually like, because it was just said, it was put on Front Street there. It was just said right out loud.
Right.
And the way she said it, where it was like, no, he's like a brother, but I can't imagine my life without him. It's like, wait a minute. This isn't putting that, it's putting a different type of tension on it. I just really liked it. And when they had that moment just before Mac went all, a Lil's kids on him, I thought that was really, really fantastic.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder if that gives a green light for her and Triplet to kind of get back to getting it on a little.
They never got it on.
You know
She
what?
was
I
liking
thought
him,
the
but-
same thing though. Like when they were leaving and like she gave him that wink, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's going to be a little science officer action on that one.
Wow. I didn't read that. I thought.
How can you not?
Oh, I'm.
You're an old married guy. That's your problem.
Because the whole time he was thinking about Atlantis.
Oh, I was.
He's like, Namor's coming, Namor.
Yeah. I was sitting there going, Inhumans.
See, I'm
Oh,
not
Medusa. I can't wait for Medusa to show up with that hair. That's going to be awesome. And the dog with the tuning fork on his head. That's going to be awesome.
See, I'm not distracted by all that because, I'm still waiting for Catwoman to come in.
Ooh, what if the Bulldog has to fight Catwoman?
Did
Oh,
you?
that
Jack,
would be
think of it.
Oh my God, that would be awesome.
Well, talking about a DC crossover, did you hear that they interviewed Stephen Amell, and he talked about that he would love to have a crossover Arrow Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like,
Oh, I didn't hear that one. I heard that he did the one about Gotham, and I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen, dude.
No,
But
but
the
Arrow,
ages are going to be all wrong. Number one. Number two, different networks. That one's not happening.
we're not going to start the network thing again, are we?
Well, this
But-
is different. This isn't
but-
like when we talk Fox, Sony, and Marvel.
Oh yeah, okay. But the Arrow thing would be really cool.
it'd be fun. I
It'd
mean,
be great.
you know,
It's not going to happen because we got Hawkeye in this universe.
yeah. No, it's
So unless Hawkeye all of a sudden starts wearing green, Green Arrow's not showing up.
Eh, it would still. I think they could do something like like a crossover. It's like NFL goes to London. It could happen.
Well, you know what? And Marvel and DC did cross in the comics. I mean, they did have
They
that.
did. They did. But I think that's Stephen Amell just trying to get fanboys all whipped up and try to keep attention going.
Oh, of course.
Okay,
I mean,
well, who
because
else
they
do
had
you
that
think?
Arrow Flash.
If they did do a crossover, who would be more poised to do it then?
What do you mean?
If it wasn't Arrow, who would be who
You
would
mean
be
who would
part of
be a
that?
good crossover to Agents of Shield?
Yes.
Well, it would have to be the Netflix series.
Yeah, all the Marvel stuff, the Netflix series, absolutely I could see that stuff crossing over.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be like this is the week like when Green Hornet was on Batman. It doesn't have to be that obvious. But it there could definitely be crossover. I mean, they end up in a scene with a lawyer and it's Matt Murdock, but they don't know he's Daredevil. Like we'd sit there and go, "Oh my God, it's Matt Murdock!" And then we see Matt Murdock on. Oh, spoiler: Matt Murdock's Daredevil. For those of you that don't know, and I'm not talking to Spider-Man because he
Oops.
knows. Doctor Doom doesn't know though. Darn it. Uh, so yeah, I think that's really where you're only going to see those types of crossovers. Once again, this is why the Marvel thing. Yeah, okay, we've talked about this a lot. Where Marvel versus DC, and I like both. I mean, let's put it out there. I know a little. You're all Marvel, but you know what? I like both, and you're not all Marvel because you do like Arrow,
I
and you
do, and
like
I like Flash.
yeah, those
And
are great shows, and I think that track record wise, I think that DC has actually done a better job with its TV properties. Although I think that Agents of Shield has really come into its own. I'm completely enjoying this, and I watched the Flash Arrow crossover. I watched that last night, and I enjoyed it, but I thought it seemed juvenile compared to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but it seemed like, oh, this is a lesser. This is they're crossing over to try to promote the other show. It didn't feel as organic. This, what we just saw on Agents of Shield, was a little bit more mature version of the superhero world. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Kind
get
of.
it.
Okay. Oh,
It
oh, Jack gets it.
yeah. And that's the scary part.
But this is what the point I was going to make. Marvel once again is poised to do a better job in the TV realm because they own these properties. They can cross over those Netflix things in and out. Don't have to make it big things, but they can give us those tastes. Those same Netflix shows and the TV shows here can bleed into the movies. The movies can bleed into these, and it all makes sense. Warner Brothers, or I'm sorry, DC can't do that
no, they
because
can. They can because they.
but they've already said they're not. They're not bleeding them into the movies. And Gotham is set in such a way that the other stuff can't come into it. When they do Supergirl, they said Supergirl is in the same universe, but Teen Titans is not.
Yeah.
So they can't bleed these over. They can't do
Well,
this.
they
They've got
can't.
them on
They can't.
different networks and they're doing this different thing. Whereas Marvel, it's all Marvel. It's all singular universe, which I'm
But
all down for.
they
You know,
can't
and
bleed it over to Gotham. Gotham is the only one that I think is out of having any kind of attachment to this because of the continuity of the universe. But I
But
do
Teen
think
Titans isn't going to be tied into it either, from what I understand.
I still think they could. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know for sure, but I mean, I think that like Constantine and whatever else, I think they can cross over because it's all still DC proper. Like DC is still the production company doing all the work. It's just the channel. Like NBC
Right,
has
that's
the
the thing
final
that doesn't
say.
make sense. DC owns all the properties. They are in control of all of it, yet they don't treat it as a singular unit. Now, we did talk about it when we did Live at the Blue Box and we did Channel 52. We did talk about how they could very easily start connecting these through the Flash because the
Yeah,
Flash is what connects all the different, the multiverse.
right.
It wouldn't take very much to have the Flash from the movie and the Flash from the TV show, and even like John Wesley Shipp when he did, the Flash in the '90s. Have these guys meet or converge? All of a sudden, all of it connects. Whether it's actually connecting or not, the comic book fan viewer would go, oh, "They're all in the multiverse," and it would all make sense. And that would be a smoking good deal. But I'm telling you, that's not going to happen.
well, look at the history. Like Marvel learned their lesson, about what was about 20 or 30 years ago when everything was kind of falling apart, things were kind of starting to sell off, and they just they weren't getting anything done. And it's like, okay, we need to kind of control everything and what's going on. And DC. I don't think DC ever kind of went through that period.
Well, they got bought by Time Warner, and it was just a whole thing. Marvel didn't have that luxury, and
No.
Marvel was in trouble. And then what was it, 7 years ago that they did Iron Man, and they treated that. They were like, we're starting our own production, and that was a very much of an indie film type production.
Yeah.
You know, and people look at it and go, it's not indie film. It was treated like an independent producing company, and if that had failed, that would have been the end of Marvel.
Right. I mean,
Yep.
if you look, on demand on the cable, they have the last 50 years of Marvel, and they go through that kind of in depth, and it's really interesting if you ever get a chance to watch that.
Yeah, totally. Totally. We got off track again. Did we talk this one out? What did we miss? We didn't talk about Mac.
Well, yeah, we didn't talk about the city. I mean,
Well, you
or
know what?
the front door to the city before they
Let's
could,
talk about the city real quick, because here's my thought on that. They played it up like that was going to be the whole episode. It was kind of inconsequential. I mean, it drove what happened to Mac. It was like we were standing at the front door, but that was it.
Yeah.
In
And
the
they
previews, they made it look like they're in the city, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. It was a tease for next week.
Right. Well, and the whole big thing was that they get there first, and they got there first, and now not only are they now trying to blow it up so it doesn't take any collateral damage with the people of San Juan, but on top of now, Hydra knows where it is and has the key and has flowers and has Sky, and we never got to see the city.
Right.
So
yeah, and you know what? Going back to when they're in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
that's another little tidbit where I kind of got uneasy with Mockingbird.
Okay.
Is when she had to
was
go
it her
meet
white
her.
T-shirt? Did that make you feel funny?
Yes.
Do we need to talk that out
Um,
off air?
no, but when she went to go meet her contact and that whole thing, it just seemed like when she was talking to Coulson about all that, when she was kind of saying, "Well, you're not like Nick Fury and this and this and this," it just all seemed
But
kind
that
of
goes back to my
different.
idea that she's
So
trying to go with like a sword type thing. Like there's a more military-esque faction of Shield that is evolving, and she's leaning towards that. She's more, right wing with Shield, and Coulson is a little more left wing with Shield. Maybe that's what it is.
maybe.
yeah, it seems like she's kind of trying to kind of bring the leader out into him, but we've really been like the sword thing. We've really been predicting this for a while,
Yeah.
and we've hit a lot of these predictions fairly
Somehow,
well.
I don't know how. Well, Lil, wasn't it you that said if you throw, 100 turds at the wall, one of them's going to stick?
Hey,
So,
that's
I
what
think
we
I said
do
something like that. I don't know if those were exact words I used, but hey,
Well, we
We're
try
the
to keep it
monkeys.
family friendly here.
Hey, we're the monkeys with the poo, but we hit our targets.
We're the monkeys with poo of podcasting. Of all the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shows, we're the monkeys with the poo.
Yeah, but our poo hits. I'll stand by that. So back to the city.
Back to the city.
This message brought to you by Who Flung Poo.
I thought
Oh man, I think we're like 12. We're all just sitting around poo. So
Review that.
back to the city. Oh man, back to the city. So I disagree though a little. When Mockingbird was having that scene behind Coulson, I actually was having a different feeling. I thought that he wasn't doing what she wanted, and I thought she was gonna take that guy out. I didn't think there was anything covert going on. I thought she was just like, he's not getting us into the city, and she was gonna just crack the guy.
yeah.
Once again, going back to and maybe that's just because I'm interpreting it that way, that she's more hardcore and Coulson is proving not to be, or at least to her.
Well, that one might be the motivation to start developing the militant wing of Shield,
Right.
and it's a perfect time. I mean,
It
you know,
is.
we
They're in disarray. This would be a great time for that type of thing to arise and have it be a faction. It makes sense.
and you've got your mercenary group, which is perfect. It's a perfect setup. You've got these characters that can pop in and out,
Yep.
and it's a perfect scenario.
Maybe that side of the group, maybe Coulson doesn't know. Maybe that side of the group is the one that took Xena and is fixing her up, and they're looking to make her a director of Sword.
Ooh.
Because that's the first thing I do is the person who's been blown apart to bits, I want to make her head of my organization first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be what
I want to
happens.
build her to a half cyborg, and then
Oh, hey, speaking of that, where's he this season? He was only in the first couple episodes.
Yeah, that's right. He's kind of forgotten for right now, isn't he?
Yeah, we need Deathlock to come back.
he wasn't in the season at all, was he?
Yes, he was. He was in like the first episode.
Isn't Deathlock like that commercial where like your identity gets like you can protect it for a monthly fee?
That's LifeLock. Although
Oh,
that could be
okay.
Deathlock's nemesis is LifeLock.
Maybe we can get Cumberpatch to advertise it.
Cumberpatch.
Well, that's what I say.
Uh-oh, Jack had a stroke again.
Well,
So, okay. So, at the city.
okay, we haven't even talked about the fact that they just sealed what's his name?
No, we're getting there. We haven't gotten there yet. Let's
Okay.
talk about the city really quick. So, it's off Puerto Rico. Jack, you've been there. They're saying that there's this underground city at that thing, and they couldn't get down there, and then somehow they all got down there. In the previews, they made it look like that part of the city was where the action was, but it's not at all. We haven't gotten into whatever this city is.
Right. We
It's-
just got to the lid.
It's all underground. And it sounds like the obelisk might play a role in getting in there. Like, do you think that's like a key?
Yes. It's like a compass and a key in one. And the diviner only lets the
So it's a
people that are
keepus.
worth. Yeah, there you go. I think you should trademark that.
Yeah. Hashtag keep us.
The Cumberpatch keep us.
Oh, man. Here come the reviews again. So, okay. So we saw. God, I'm definitely getting done with the city. I need them to get into the city, and I can't figure out if only the worthy can get in. How the heck are they all down there next week getting into the city?
Well,
They're not all worthy.
well, they haven't gotten in yet. And I think once you open the door, that's like a whole. As long as you don't touch one of these locks, you're probably okay.
Oh, you mean because Mac touched the lock? That's why that happened.
Yeah, he didn't have the key. And so they're like, it went like under his skin, like looking for.
Oh yeah, and I had two thoughts. When Mac touched that key, first thing I thought of, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Toth grabs that gold medallion and burns his hand.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, totally Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then it immediately turned into Meteor. We'll keep this family friendly. Meteor crap from Creepshow. Remember when he touches the meteor and he gets it all over his fingers? Meteor crap. I kept thinking of that through the whole thing.
Or what's the swamp thing where the meteor goes down and he gets start covering in the green moss?
That didn't happen in Swamp Thing, did it?
Wasn't that Swamp Thing, or
No,
was
that was
that
Creepshow.
was that
It's the one
Creepshow?
It's the one I just made a reference about.
Oh, I thought that was. I thought it was the other one.
Swamp Thing is the one where where the doctor and Adrian Barbeau are creating the plant life thing in the lab, and then they burn it down, and he falls into the swamp, and the poison stuff or the chemical is in the swamp, and it turns him into Swamp Thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then Adrian Barbeau's in it. That's all that matters.
I goofed up. But
And then
look
the
at
sequel. You think that one's bad? The sequel is awful.
sounds like a keep.
Although I saw Cop Out today, and I think Cop Out might be worse than the worst Swamp Thing movie.
Better than it. Remember the Attack of the Tomatoes and the Attack of the Mushroom
Cop Out
people?
was worse than that.
The Killer
No
Tomatoes.
way. Killer Tomatoes.
Cop Out was so bad. Did you guys see it?
I
The
have.
movie, the old 50s movie? Yeah. Like
What?
No, the Kevin Smith movie.
The Kevin Smith movie with Bruce Willis and Macy Gray. What's his name? Tracy Morgan. Oh, it was so
This isn't this
bad.
isn't Spider-Man where Macy Gray
Oh,
is
Macy
singing on the
Gray and that.
float.
We just watched that the other day. Yeah, that's why Macy Gray's on my mind. Because otherwise, really, who remembers Macy Gray at this point?
Everybody.
Lil's got it. Greatest hits. Of course, it's the one album she put out, but he's got it.
Of course I do. She was in Spider-Man.
Of course. What am I thinking? You're looking to get the action figure.
I have it. I made
Yeah.
my own.
Oh, that would be the most awesome thing.
this show is
I
always
made
like
my own Migo.
this show is always like 7 degrees of Spider-Man, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's me. I love Spider-Man, but
Who doesn't?
Crazy
Well,
people.
anybody that saw Spider-Man 3, they're a little sketchy on it.
I
Doc
still
Ock.
love
Doc Ock doesn't love Spider-Man. That's all I gotta say.
He
he
did.
does, though. He does.
He does. Yep.
Secretly.
Yep. He did. And then things went south. Spoiler. So
Did so much that he married Aunt May.
oh, and now they're making a movie about it. So
Oh,
I
God.
want to know, what were we talking about? Oh, okay. So
The city.
so
show?
Mac goes down there because the drones stop working. He goes down there, he gets the meteor crap on his fingers, and then he comes up, red eyes. I mean, they're shooting him. What did he shoot him like 3 times with a night gun? No effect.
You know what?
He-
I don't know if it was like the meteor crap. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that episode with the what was that thing called that they got from
We have no idea because that episode. Are you talking of Agents of Shield or are you talking Urkel? Because you just got that episode.
Yes, that episode of Urkel. No. With God, why am I forgetting his name? It was in season 1 where they had all the people from Thor's world coming.
Okay.
Loki and
No, but they had the one professor and he had
Oh yeah.
that
Okay.
one that one staff
Right.
that gave really like
the
super
Norwegian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of that episode because like when they all touched that thing, they all got like that berserker power.
Berserker. Yeah. You know what? I don't think that was the Berserker thing though. Although maybe you're right.
I think it was the key. It was the that's the key kind of entrance little protection. And when he touched it, it was like, well, there's nobody that has the diviner, so it's like this little protection thing.
Well, even more than a diviner, what they were implying is there's something in the DNA, and it read that his DNA didn't have it. That's why it turned him nuts.
Right. So
But
it's
what was
not
interesting is I watched it twice, and what was interesting is when Coulson said that wasn't Mac after he fell down the hole, and she goes, "Oh no, Mac fell down the hole," and he goes, "That wasn't Mac." The reason that was interesting is my first reaction when I saw it was, yeah, no, he's out of his mind. He's being crazy. Watching it the second time, the way that he delivers that line made me almost say, and it seems really weird, like I'm not buying this, but it wasn't Mac. It was something else that came up. Mac is still down there.
I don't think so.
Could that be?
I think what he's implying is Max dead. Like that's
Like
not
Mac's
like
dead. All that's left is this red-eyed freak who's like the guy on Flash this week too.
right. Which we kind of predicted that Mac was going to get the boot.
I don't want him to get the boot though. And the thing is, if he wasn't knocked down by the night gun, that means he's not being hurt. This is protecting him. That fall might not kill him. It might have no effect on him. And if they can get down there and solve this, maybe when they open the key, it turns that off.
Right.
And Mac comes back.
And
then we get an awesome song out of it. That was so bad.
I totally did not get that joke.
You know what? I don't think I got that joke.
That's what we call in the business mac and cheese.
Oh,
Okay.
and I call that a chest cold that just came bubbling up when I laughed. Gross.
Ew.
So, I mean, do you think that there's any chance that Mac will be back?
I
And
hope
I'm not going to
so.
speak in rhyme the rest of the time. I promise you.
Rhyme
I
the
just
rest
did
of the
again.
time. Yeah.
So what do you think? I was
Thanks.
freestyling there. I'm like what's his name?
No,
Little MC or whatever that guy, the guy that was the Slim Shady, that guy. I'm like him. I'm doing freestyling for you.
Eminem.
I call him Little MC. I don't even know what their names are. I'm such an old man about it.
that was pretty terrible. I don't think Mac's coming back. I think they had to weed this cast down anyway.
I thought that too. I was thinking we were talking about that last week. How are they going to weed this
Yeah.
down?
Well, the way they said it, it really makes like, what you saw isn't Mac anymore. Get over it. And it would really make me sad because right now,
You like his
Mac-
arms?
Mac is my favorite part of the team just because he's got such a great rapport with Fitz. And
And he
he
built
just-
a little car for Coulson.
yeah. I mean, he hasn't even got to work on the car yet. Now, that was a little goofy, but I mean, I just got the feeling like if May decides to shoot him or like she thinks she's going to kick his butt, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like we need one guy that can't be bullied by some other character. And he's like that guy to me. He's like, Yeah, that's not. He's like the one guy on the team that you're just not going to bowl over,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
unless it's.
going back to the car scene, that was another scene that kind of like I was like, this is so odd and bizarre. And then it led up to that discussion with Mockingbird in the plane, and I'm like, why does he want to work on Lola so badly?
Yeah, well, you know what? But he's done it at least one other time in the season. And when they did it, he said it to Coulson, and Coulson was like, "I'm still not letting you do it." So I think they used that to kind of build relationship and to show that he has a past with Coulson, that there's another level going on here that we're not privy to yet.
I
That's
hope
all I
so.
think
I,
that
I
was.
hope so. I don't want it to be a giant.
I think that
But
would be a punk move if it was, because let's face it, they've already done this with Hydra.
Well, I think it's, it's typical Marvel relationship building that, it's not always about the story, it's about creating histories with the characters.
Sure.
And that's what has made Marvel popular all these years, is because it's not just a superhero saving the day, it's the fact that you relate to the superhero and that you feel that you get a history with this character, and this character that even if you're meeting for the first time, you get the feeling that you've known him for 10 years. And I think that's just part of the Marvel universe.
So, do you think when we talk about Sky's dad, one of the notes I wrote here is, are they making him out to be kind of like a Magneto? Obviously, he's not Magneto and he's not Professor X, but do you think that they're kind of doing that? Like he seems like Magneto is a bad guy, but then the people around him say, "No, no, he's not a bad guy. He's trying to protect us. He's saving us." And that's very much the story that Raina gave.
And they actually said it was Simmons that said if Trip had not gotten that clotting agent, he would be dead right now.
yeah,
Right.
So yeah, they're definitely kind of, yeah, he's kind of the crazy bad guy, but maybe not.
I think he is.
Well, I mean,
But
it's
could
it's
he
that
be
element.
just like Magneto? Magneto views humans as inferior and is like, "No, you are hating on us. We're the next evolution. We're just moving forward." And I think that's what they're doing with Sky's dad.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think it's an evolution thing at all. I think it only stems, he wants a relationship with his daughter and he sees that team as the only thing that's gotten away from that, and the fact that they're not together and hasn't had a relationship is because of Coulson and the team. Only we're on the verge of finding out that it's really Hydra and Whitehall who killed his wife. And that's a whole element of this story that is the undertow. We just found out for sure that the mother was killed by Whitehall and he has her organs. There's got to be some payback, and it's gonna come from the dad.
Now, do you think the dad knows that Whitehall killed the mom?
yes.
Okay.
I
So
think
his working with Whitehall is so that he can infiltrate to get his revenge.
right.
I
Do.
don't. Do you
I
think
think
that? Oh, go ahead.
no, that's all right. I think it's twofold. I think he wants to get Sky back, but he also wants to take out Whitehall.
Yeah.
And I think he has a relationship already with Ward because Ward has talked about him before. And I'm wondering if that there's some kind of big plan between him and Ward to do all this.
Yeah, you know what? Once again, Ward has said, "I haven't lied to you," to Sky. What did he do right away? "I'm taking you to your father." Is he doing that for Sky, or is he doing it because he's doing something for the father, or is it a little of both? They brought up the brother, Christian, being killed in the fire and all that. I still say Christian's not dead. The last time we saw him, he and Ward had their arms around each other and they were walking away from the well and like, okay, they're going to rebuild something here. The next thing we hear is, oh, the house burned down and he confessed everything. And we're all supposed to assume, wow, Ward has really flipped to Hydra.
Right.
I'm
And
not
they
buying
have
it.
they
And
have
when
the
they said,
scene.
are you Shield or are you Hydra? You need to choose. And he said, I already have. What did he say? I've chosen Hydra? No.
Right. He just said he's chosen.
Yeah.
And you've got this thing where May and Sky are sitting looking at the news program with the burning house, and oh yeah, Ward did it. Yeah, Ward did it. We know Ward did it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Too obvious.
Yeah, it's too obvious, and that's that's Agents of Shield, typical non-subtle way of.
Yeah. Now, I
telling
don't
it.
know if we're going to see that play out in this next episode. I think that might be next half of the season. I don't think we're going to see anything more of like Christian all of a sudden appearing or anything. Maybe we will. Maybe that'll be part of the cliffhanger, but I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to go back to the Mac thing real quick because there was an interesting moment when his eyes turned red. He looked up, and the first thing he said was "run." And when he said that, my reaction was, he's still in there.
Yeah. So it's not like his body is still downstairs in the shaft.
Right. So when I was saying that before, let's disregard all of that. That was all Lil that said that. But
God, a
when,
little.
when he said run, it made me think there's hope for him to come out of this too.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
something to think about there. Okay. What else? Okay, so Whitehall took over the bus. Not Whitehall, but Ward did.
Right.
And
And Whitehall is pissed that Ward didn't shoot it down.
that he didn't blow up the bus. And then he gives the order. He has whoever
33.
it was, 33 give the order to blow up the bus.
Right.
Obviously, they're not going to blow up the bus and kill everybody on it.
Right. Well, that'd be
That would be
end of the
like,
show.
End of the show.
Not really. He still got Coulson on the ground, but yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Here's how we solve the overcrowding of agents.
Just blow up the bus.
Kill everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Coulson, you're the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. of one person and,
Well,
and the
no,
clones.
and a bunch
Then
of
it'll be-
clones.
Then it will be called Coulson, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
It's like the old Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well,
that
won't the second
awesome
story be
freaking-
called The Clone Wars?
Yes.
Every time I see Patton, I want my own lanyard.
How about that when he said
I
that?
like they had
You're-
Reno one.
You're going to need a lanyard. That's the best.
Oh, and here's the other thing. Yeah, you've got like the two people under the umbrella. Like in any other TV show or movie, there'd be this like awkward moment where they almost kiss,
Yeah,
or
not with him.
no, yeah, it wasn't even a question. It was just like, okay, we're just waiting for things to happen. Poor Patton Oswalt doesn't even get a smooch.
Right.
There's no sexual tension at all. Total geek.
Yeah, and I thought Snape was going to find him. Oh, no, that was Harry Potter.
Geeks everywhere were like totally proud of Patton at that point.
Who did I forget who he had? Oh, he had Reyna in there. That's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking he had Sky.
Come on. I mean, you've got a beautiful woman in you in a tight quarters inside a magic umbrella. Come on. You couldn't get like a little something, like a little kiss on the cheek or something?
Not Patton.
Nope.
I think Sam could have, but Billy couldn't.
That's true. He is the shorter one.
Right. Right. So have we covered everything here?
I think so.
There's
You guys have any other thoughts on this, or are you ready for next week?
I had one, but I think I had an ischemic moment and it's gone.
Yep. Well, welcome to the Enough Said podcast. So I want to bring up one more thing that just happened this week. Actually, I want to bring up two quick things. They are not related to the show. They're related to our show.
Surprise.
So first thing, we'll get a little business out of the way. You can go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Just look on our podcasts and you'll find the Enough Said podcast. We've got Charlie's blog on there. We've got, which is called Super Connectivity. We've got all the links to our social media stuff, past episodes, everything is on there. Okay. We also just added, this is what I wanted to get to. We have a donate tab, and we talk about that at the front of the show, but we just added a Patreon account. And for those of you that don't know what Patreon is, basically you can click on the link. It'll take you to our Patreon page. It's a way to pledge, because here's the problem. Some people, when they see the donate thing, they're like, well, what am I going to give? Like $5? Is that going to do anything? When you do Patreon, you can pledge and say, you know what? I listen to this show regularly. I want to throw $1 at the show every episode. You can just sign up and do that. You can send $5 an episode, $25 an episode. I'm expecting $100 an episode from you, sir. And it's got different perks and things. Jack doesn't even know about these. Alil does, but there are different perks. So basically, if you do, I'm going to just read you. If you pledge $5 or more per episode, at this level, you will receive a special patrons-only episode of Enough Said. So in other words, we're doing an episode that we're not putting on the feed. We're only putting on Patreon. And you have to have paid, and that gives you an access into this thing. We're going to record one special episode a month, and it's like a roundtable with the various people that make up the Enough Said universe. So Jonathan, Phil, Charlie, the three of us. It may be all of us, it may be a couple of us, whatever, but every month we're going to do one. And occasionally we'll have a special guest also. And you also get access to a Patreon only stream that we offer above, which is where we answer questions and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's what you get if you do $5 a month. For 1 month, you get that, or $5 an episode for 1 month, you get that. There's other perks at 25, other perks at 100. So all I'm saying is it would be greatly appreciated. It helps us pay for equipment. It helps us pay for expenses, which we do have. $1 a month would be so greatly appreciated, or $1 a month. $1 an episode would be so greatly appreciated. I don't know if you can do less than that on Patreon, but if you go to the donate tab, you can do a quarter and we'll still be very appreciative of that. And then we also have some stretch goals that we put on here. Things like ways to keep this ad free so you don't have to hear us talk about this anymore. A certain goal gets us better equipment. We want to start putting stuff up on YouTube. And we have a stretch goal for that. And the money as it comes in will start adding up to that. And when we hit a certain goal, it's like, wow, now we're ready to launch YouTube. Things like that.
There you
So
go.
there
And
you go.
if you donate enough money, you can actually send me to Marvel school.
Well, there is one that after you speak, it's enough said. If you do $10,000 per episode, basically you own the podcast.
Well, there you go.
You can actually just tell us what to do and change everything. So
So what
watch
else
all of us get fired. That's it.
And if you donate $1,000 per episode, you get only a lil.
Oh, you know what? I'm going
As
to
your
add that to
butler?
it. Yes.
A lil is the only one with like pertinent like Marvel information anymore, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. For
That
$1,000,
becomes your Marvel butler.
We like hit
becomes your
like,
Marvel
like
butler.
we kind of like pause in between it. It's just like a lil is just dumbfounded.
Right? What are these two jackasses talking about?
I was like, what did I get myself into? No.
Yeah, so that's it. Just please, if you listen to the show regularly and you want to help us out, if you click on Patreon, it's a way to do it, and it makes a lot of sense. I've done it for other podcasts. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you listen to it. Why not throw $1 per episode out there? Doesn't cost much, but it really truly helps us out. So that was my little public service announcement. The other thing is, and there's been no activity here, once again at the website, you can click on a thing to go to our free forums. And I was talking to Charlie about this. He said that Marvel used to have this forum page that was so active and people went crazy on there. And he used to go on there. You know how he talks on Super Connectivity? He used to do that on the Marvel forum. And he said, oh, there are a whole bunch of me there. Like he's like Koenig at that point.
There are a whole bunch
And
of me.
there's 13
There's
Charlies.
13.
And which Charlie is shorter? And we now have a forum for all of our shows, but there is definitely one for Nuff Said. There's been very little activity. I think we threw one question out and there hasn't been anything. It's just because people don't know about it. Get in there and start talking on the forum. We are definitely in there, jumping in, reading, joining in on the conversation. So it's another way to connect with other Marvel fans, have some fun. Feel free to say how wrong we are about stuff because, frankly, we know we are, except Alil. Alil doesn't know he's wrong. No, Alil isn't wrong. Jack and I
I'm
are.
wrong, believe me.
Yeah.
And I predict the future, and it comes true.
That's the weirdest thing.
I know.
Can I get the lottery numbers, please?
Yeah.
Lottery numbers are. See, if you donate to the podcast, I'll actually tell you what they are.
Oh, good one. So there you go. I don't want to do a big commercial for that every week. I just wanted to point it out because we just launched it yesterday, and we're not going to do this every time, but we will mention, you can donate on Patreon. We might just say something like that, but we really do want to keep this as ad free as we can. So that's it. Let's give out our social media. You can follow the show at Nuff Said Pod on Twitter. You can follow me at R Southgate. Jack, you are at
J. Wengroski.
And Jack, you're on a couple other podcasts. You want to mention those?
Yes, the Blacklist Pod at the Blacklist Podcast. It's at Blacklist Pod. And when my soon-to-be co-host, Pamela, gets over the extreme case of laryngitis, we will be adding the State of Affairs podcast. So stay tuned for that.
There you go.
And that's all I have right now.
And Alil, you are on another podcast, which I listen to every week. Why don't you give
I
your
am.
information?
That podcast is called The League of Geeks, and that's Geeks with a Z. I'm on Twitter at LOGEEKZ. We're on Facebook at the League of Geeks, and you can download us on all different types of devices and sites. So enjoy. Again, League of Geeks with a Z.
Shouldn't you say League of Geeks?
Geeks.
Gigs.
Yes.
Or the Jig of Leaks.
The
Yes,
Jig of
the
Leaks,
Jig of
say that?
Leaks.
Yes. So, yeah, that's a great show, and I really enjoy your website, and I really enjoy tweeting with you guys. So, well, you. The other guys are punks. They're not on there tweeting from it. LOGEEKZ, are they?
God, you're such,
No, that's just me.
Steve,
Rob-
Sean, get on it.
God, Rob, you're such a bully.
Yeah, I am. So, excellent. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. You guys don't have anything more, correct?
Correct.
The corrective.
All right. Well, then let's endo this. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough said.
End for enough said.
I was going to say, just saying Cree, Jack Wendrowski.
Sadly, they don't have a word for that, so in Cree, it's just Jack Wendrowski.
Actually, in Cree, it's...